Welcome back. Let's look at some strategies for graphing linear functions. Oftentimes when people think about the linear functions or equations for lines, they think of the slope-intercept form. So that's when we see y equals mx plus b. This is probably familiar to a lot of people. In this, m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. So for instance, if we have y equals 2x minus 1, this has a slope of 2, and the y-intercept is negative 1. So I'll just say b equals negative 1. Now, just a quick note, thinking about what that y-intercept means. This is where you cross the y-axis. So if you cross the y-axis at negative 1, as far as an ordered pair, that's 0, negative 1. So this is the point with coordinates 0, negative 1. So the x value would always be 0. So what you're actually finding here is the y value in that ordered pair. So how does this help us in graphing? So if we want to start with a fresh set of axes, we'll start with this point 0, negative 1. And I know that the slope is 2, but I want to write this in my rise over run form. So I'm going to write it as a fraction, and I can just put a 1 in the denominator there. So this is my rise, and this is the run. So I know that from this point, I can find another point using rise over run. So I rise 2 and run 1. In this case, both of those are positive, so I'm going up and to the right. And I could do that again and again to generate additional points, up 1 over 1. And I'll find points that are all along a straight line. Those, this line with all of its points is the graph of y equals 2x minus 1. Another example, let's say that we have y equals negative 2/3 plus 1. In this case, our y-intercept is 1, so we have a point at 0, 1, so that's right here. Here's 0, 1, and my slope is negative 2/3. So I can put the negative in either the top or the bottom, so I can either consider this a move to go down 2 and over 3, or up 2 and back 3. So I'm going to go down 2 and over 1, 2, 3. So I probably should have marked off some scale here. So down 2 over 3, and there's my line, y equals negative 2/3. Oops, I forgot my x there. X plus 1. One more thing I'll mention, if we have y equals, for instance, just 3x, the value for b here is kind of understood to be 0. So in this case, the y-intercept is actually at the point 0, 0. So this goes right through the origin. And our rise over run is 3 and 1, so go up 3 and over 1, and we can graph this line. Oops, let's pull that down where you can see it a little bit better. So lastly, let's talk a little bit more about strategies for graphing horizontal and vertical lines. I said before that if you have a, let's see if I can find that. Yes, here where we had a horizontal line, we found that this has a slope of 0. So let's talk about what those equations and graphs look like. If you're given an equation y equals something like 2, well, think back. One of our strategies for graphing lines is to come up with a table of values where we have x's and y values. So oftentimes we'll start by just picking randomly some values of x, and then plugging these values into our equation and solving for y. Now, in this statement, if I read that, it says y equals 2. So it doesn't matter what x is, y equals 2. So when x is negative 2, y is 2. When x is negative 1, y is 2, and so forth. No matter what I pick for x, y is always going to be 2. That's what this statement says to me. So when I graph this, I have the point negative 2, 2, negative 1, 2, and all of these points where the y coordinate is 2. This is the point 3, 2. This is the point 0, 2. This is the point negative 1, 2. So the y value is always 2. This is a horizontal line, and specifically it's the line y equals 2. By the way, our x-axis is the line y equals 0. And let's look at a few vertical lines. So those are going to be in the form of x is some constant value, maybe 4. Now in this case, if you're thinking about constructing a table, you don't have any choice of your x's. It's always going to be 4. And you can let y equal anything you want. Negative 2, 0, 1.5, pi, 7. So thinking about what this means in terms of a graph, our x value is always 4. So I have the point 4, 0. I have the point 4, negative 2. And any point with an x coordinate of 4 is going to be on this line. This is the line x equals 4, and it's horizontal. Remember, its slope is undefined. And up here, the slope is 0. I hope that helps.